him off stage after he was being humiliated at an event hosted by the National Association of Black Journalists. Now, I've already broken down a few clips from this event in a previous video, but I have more clips to play for you guys of Donald Trump being grilled on JD Vance, grilled on Project 2025, and grilled on his history of racist comments. These clips show that Donald Trump is not capable of answering a single direct question, and he is like 78 years old. It is just sad. But in this clip I'm about to play, Harris Faulkner from Fox News is about to ask about Project 2025, and at that exact moment, Rachel Scott conveniently says, "We have to leave it there. The Trump team told us to wrap," which tells us that Donald Trump's team was panicking, and they were communicating with the journalists on stage saying, "We have to wrap this. We have to end this. This is bad." Let's watch this clip and pay attention to what Rachel Scott says.
In your job.
Project 2025.
I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team.
All right.
So leave it. That is the last word. Thank you so much, Mr. Trump, for coming today and joining us.
She even clarifies, we have to leave it there because of the Trump team. And Donald Trump looked so uncomfortable throughout all of these clips. Let's break some of them down. So in this clip, Donald Trump gets absolutely owned about convicted January 6th rioters. Let's watch.
Those rioters who assaulted officers.
You have to
would you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just they were convicted by a very tough system. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them? How come the people
sir, we're talking about people that were seen beating officers with flagpoles, dragging them down the stairs. They're on video. Have you seen that video, sir?
Oh, really? Well,
you would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face who was protesting.
Does Donald Trump think that those people who shot the young lady, whatever story he's talking about, does he think those people weren't convicted in the same way that the January 6ers were? And it honestly scares me that Donald Trump uses the exact same talking points as some of the dumbest supporters that I talk to of his. I've talked to people that know nothing about politics, and their immediate response is, well, what about BLM? What about the BLM riots? And Donald Trump uses that exact same talking point verbatim, which honestly scares me. I mean, he has zero pushback skills. And notice at the beginning of this clip when the crowd laughs at him because Rachel Scott points out that these people have been convicted. They're not innocent. Listen to the crowd laugh. It's just so funny.
You have to
would you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just
The entire crowd laughs in his face, and we know that Donald Trump hates being laughed at, so he pauses for a second and doesn't know what to say. But Donald Trump is genuinely just like a crazy uncle rambling on stage, but a crazy uncle with so much power that he can pardon actual insurrectionists. Here's Donald Trump being asked a question about JD Vance, if JD Vance will be ready on day one, and Donald Trump's answer doesn't exactly instill confidence. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement of JD Vance. Let's take a look.
And that's why this decision is important this time. Bad things happen. You said it twice. When you look at JD Vance, is he ready on day one?
Does he what?
Ready on day one, if he has to be.
I've always had great respect for him, and for the other candidates too. But I will say this, and I think this is well documented. Historically, the vice president, in terms of the election, does not have any impact. I mean, virtually no impact. You have 2 or 3 days where there's a lot of commotion as to who, like you're having it on the Democrat side, who it's going to be. And then that dies down, and it's all about the presidential pick. Virtually never has it mattered. Maybe Lyndon Johnson mattered for different reasons of what we're talking about, not for vote reasons, but for political reasons, other political reasons. But historically, the choice of a vice president makes no difference.
Now, we have heard in the past that Donald Trump basically just repeats what the last person has told him, so I'm almost willing to guarantee that Donald Trump has been freaking out behind the scenes about JD Vance, as we know, and all of his advisors have been trying to comfort him by saying, hey, the VP pick really doesn't have that much of an effect. The VP pick won't affect it at all. We know this is disastrous, but the VP pick won't ruin your chances. And then Donald Trump repeats that on stage without even endorsing JD Vance. They asked if JD Vance will be ready on day day one. Donald Trump does not engage with the question whatsoever, as he always does. He just dodges the question and then goes into a rant about how VP picks don't really matter anyways. That is not a ringing endorsement at all. Even Harris Faulkner from Fox News seems stunned in this next clip as she says, "Oh my goodness," after Trump continues to attack journalist Rachel Scott, who's in the blue suit right here. Harris is in the pink. Let's watch.
Or would you? Oh, absolutely.
And who would?
I think I'd know.
How would you make that decision?
I think I'd know. Look, if I came onto a stage like this and I got treated so rudely as this woman treated me.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm fine with it because she was very rude, sir. Very rude. That was a nasty.
People in the crowd are going, no, she was not. She was not rude. People are trying to correct him. Even Harris Faulkner from Fox News, you can hear her go, oh my goodness, and almost roll her eyes at how petty Donald Trump is. This is just a petty, small, whiny man. In this next clip, Donald Trump challenges VP Harris to a cognitive test. Let's watch.
Mr. President,
I would love to
and
do
make
it
it public.
Well, I've already taken 2 of them, but I'll do it again.
Mr. President, how do you intend to...
I suggested, Harris, that let's take one. I said, Joe and I will go and take a cognitive test. Now, I'd do it with her, too. I would do it with her also. You know what? She failed her law exam. She didn't pass her law exam, so maybe she wouldn't pass the cognitive test.
Mr. President...
Are you saying she wouldn't pass? Just to be clear...
I'm just giving you the facts.
To be clear, you don't think Harris...
How do you intend... And
she didn't pass her bar exam. And she didn't think she would pass it. And
so you hear audible moans from the crowd as Donald Trump says, I don't think VP Harris could pass a cognitive exam. And I make this point a lot with President Biden, but I think it's the same with Harris. If you sat down Donald Trump and VP Harris in a room and you quiz them both about the history of Israel and Palestine, or you quiz them about the history of Russia and Ukraine, VP Harris would run laps around Donald Trump and it wouldn't even be close. Not just foreign policy. We can go down the list on every single topic, whether it's what causes climate change, or what needs to be done with education to reform it, or how we can fix guns in America. VP Harris has a much more thorough answer. You guys already know this. I don't need to tell you that Donald Trump just has vacuous slogans. Now, in this clip, RSBN is basically coping about what they just saw by saying, wow. Just watch this.
Well, that was quite interesting. As you all know, this is Matthew Alvarez with Bobby McNeely here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, President Trump somewhat going into the lion's den there. Of course, Harris Faulkner being respectful to the president, that first journalist to President Trump's left. Not so much.
They were all being completely respectful to Donald Trump, but apparently any event with any sort of black journalist is considered the lion's den to right-wingers who just melt down, who malfunction anytime they're asked a hard-hitting question by a journalist who doesn't just throw a complete softball. But Donald Trump completely had a meltdown on stage, and the fact that he can't handle hard questions from journalists in America makes me wonder, will he be able to go with Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin face to face without being taken advantage of, without sucking up to them, or without having some sort of gaffe that could ruin the future of our country. Either way, major props to these journalists on stage, especially Rachel Scott for taking on Donald Trump face to face. I know it can't be easy. And then Harris Faulkner even